The Day Before is an ambitious upcoming MMO survival horror game developed by Fantastic, who previously created Prop Night alongside some semi-successful mobile games, many making the comparison of The Day Before being a mix between The Last of Us and The Division. Announced in 2021 with a shaky development and a studio mix in its own share of controversies, let's have a look at everything we know so far about The Day Before. As mentioned, The Day Before was announced back in 2021 with a release date of the same year, suggesting that the game was pretty much ready for release, with an in-game trailer being revealed and showcase which left audience hyped for Fantastic's release. However, it was soon delayed to 2022 and has since now been moved to 2023, suggesting the game wasn't quite as close as it probably should be. Now, I want to note, pushing a game back is not a bad thing. I would rather a developer takes the time they need to produce a polished game than a rushed game. From the trailers and footage we've seen so far, we can see that The Day Before takes place in a post-apocalyptic cityscape, with exploration taking you outside the city into more rural and nature-inspired areas. We've seen cars off-roading through a countryside-esque scape and an assault on what appears to be a farmland, suggesting a variety of landscapes for the player to explore and survive in. You will wake up alone in a world different to that what you remember. Soon encountering the apocalypse that has happened, you will explore to find answers and try to survive in this new world. This introduction to the world feels very similar to The Walking Dead TV series, where one of the main protagonists wakes up in a hospital and the zombie apocalypse has already happened, and trying to survive and understand, well, what did happen around here. We know then, and with the footage from the trailers that have been shown, scavenging will play a big part of The Day Before, trying to find resources to survive and craft, with survival elements such as thirst and energy to deal with, alongside the ability to craft weapons and a whole housing system. In this, Day Before will definitely get its name as a survival game. However, The Day Before looks and has been compared more to The Division in its survival aspects, however not being as deep as survival games such as Rust or Ark Survival Evolved. You'll search crates, be able to sell loot to merchants for currency, craft medkits and other items like weapons, and upgrade those as well. One difference between The Day Before and other survival games is that this is not a true sandbox experience. With games such as Ark or Rust, the goals are mainly the ones that the players make for themselves, usually with a light touch on story or some sort of objective system. The developers have described The Day Before as having real in-game goals compared to most in the survival genre. With zombies trying to bite you en masse, players who may not have the best of intentions in the worldwide PvP of The Day Before, you think the ability to survive is difficult enough. Fantastic haven't stopped there though, as environmental conditions and weather effects will play a part in this open world zombie survival game. Wind will dampen how much noise you make, but will also make it harder to hear enemy movement. Fog will help conceal your character from prying eyes, but will also make it harder to see right in front of you. Blizzards will roll into the land and make survival all the harder. Such a dynamic weather system sounds like a fantastic inclusion if it can be implemented as it has been stated, adding those extra layers of survival that surpass the common comparisons of The Division. Saying in more of a modern day, vehicles can be driven in and around the city. We've seen trailer footage showing some off-roading where the cars are traversing very muddy terrain. We also know it's possible for the terrain to be detrimental to your ability to actually drive. Getting stuck in the mud, I'm sure, is only the beginning of the driving hazards players will face. Including elements from games such as Days Gone, players will have to refuel their cars and repair them, adding to the scavenge hunt for these materials and resources to keep you moving on and off the road. Alongside more standard commuting options, armoured vehicles will also make a feature in this game, with Fantastic describing how strategy and tactics will be needed to either get past, take down, or take over these behemoths. A hub will be featured in The Day Before, allowing players to meet, hang out, sell loot and accept your quests. Described as being similar to Destiny 2's hubs and those found in the Monster Hunter series, the main hub will be known as the colony that players can hang out in. Fantastic have mentioned a possible reputation system alongside this colony, which will unlock or progress the main story arc as that reputation is increased. Alongside, there will be access to base building of some sorts. Some footage gives us a small detail on customization and what that might actually look like, and the developers have said that they are turning away from the typical building out of sticks and stones found in many survival games, favouring an approach more like Animal Crossing and Dinkum. For me, it's a hard one to imagine in a survival MMO, but I'm sure if it's done well, it could be very well received. If I've missed anything in this video, please feel free to let me know in the comments below. I would love to learn with you, and I also appreciate all the feedback. So thank you so much, and let's continue, shall we? Being in the midst of a zombie apocalypse, it's only fitting that the main enemy type the day before will offer is, of course, zombies. We can see from the trailer footage that zombies are not the slow, lumbering kind often found in franchises such as Resident Evil, but more the fast-running kind able to chase you down, meaning you often can't just walk away from the situation. They will be everywhere in buildings, on the streets, in cars, requiring both melee and range assault to clear areas out. Aside from this though, we don't actually know a lot of confirmed details on the different enemy types. Will there be special zombies, boss zombies, or abilities that different zombie types will have? Being described as an MMO, I would speculate that there would be zombies that have more special abilities or act as a boss. This would require multiple people to take down. However, this is pure speculation based on the current MMO tropes and trends that we see today. The developers describing the day before as an MMO, massively multiplayer online, suggesting a very high player count on one server, which is another slight deviation to normal survival games which have limited caps on servers of around 40 to 60 people. Despite this, we haven't seen anything suggesting exactly how big these servers will be and how many players they will actually support. If the claims hold true that the day before will be an MMO, expect a lot of players in one place, who in turn may help or hinder you. Everywhere in the day before will be PvP, player versus player. There will still be PvE elements and experiences for those who do not enjoy PvP. The day before can also be played solo offline, though this has been indicated by the developers as not being the preferred way. Your fellow players will also be the other enemy type in this game. There was an indication that there might be reasons as to why you may or may not want to work with the people you encounter. Rather than starting an open fire fight, you might actually want to team up with them. It will be on the players to decide how they want to interact with the world and the other players that they come across. They could be your friend today, only to turn on you tomorrow. The combat with other players isn't super hardcore, where one shot will take out another player. It's already been described that it will take a few rounds, similar to games again like The Division, one of its common comparisons. This nicely means you have a chance to survive even in an ambush. It might be only a small chance, but it's a chance nonetheless. What isn't clear yet about the PvP, if it's a fully PvP, as found in a lot of dedicated player versus player games. When looking at the protagonists or the character that you will be playing as, we haven't seen or heard much about what that character creation will look like or how in-depth it will actually be. I think it's right to expect that there will be character creation in the day before because of the style of genre of the game, being survival and MMO. And what we do know is the camera will pitch a third-person view, similar to the likes of, again, The Division. Playing the two, I'm going to imagine from this point, will feel very similar. When looking at the footage we have, we can see that amongst the normal UI elements we'd expect like health, ammo and weapon displays, we can also see three icons which appear to represent temperature, energy or hunger of some sort, and then hydration. We can expect that we will have to manage these vitals in our bid to survive. The temperature gauge links with the prior mentioned weather effects, where your character being too cold will likely have negative impact on said character. For hydration and energy, we have seen a clip where the player manages to get something out of a vending machine to consume. This would result in filling one of those other gauges. Weapons appear to be quite plentiful, with an array to choose from between range, melee and utility. One impressive scene saw the character throw a grenade which went off, and the effects of the environment around it was pretty insane. Electronics broke and the aftermath that it left behind felt very impactful even just from watching it. Collecting resources and crafting will play a major part of the combat. Using the resources you scavenge will allow you to craft weapons to use in combat, but also upgrade them. Again, not much details on how these upgrades will look. Upgrades will be stat based or utility based, adding a silencer to reduce the sound or a scope for better zoom in. Players will also be able to communicate with each other in game. The developers have said voice comms are being worked on for the day before. No details if this will just be while you're teamed up or if there will be local comms to talk to people in your general area. Going out on a limb, I would think we can also expect that if there is voice comms available, that there would be text channels available for those who don't use voice. Again, this is yet to be confirmed. It is worth noting that the day before has been receiving its fair share of controversy. Mentioned at the beginning was pushing back of the release, which on its own wouldn't really spark a red flag. However, when you mix with some of the other items that have been questioned, some have started to wonder the game's likeliness, readiness and reality of actually being able to deliver. Recently there has been speculation that all the in-game footage shown in the trailer is completely scripted and not a true representation of the game, alongside the developer's history of release games not being the greatest on its post-release development. So it might be prudent to set those expectations, especially if some of these takes are indeed true. The day before looks set to be released around March 2023. Are you looking forward to this open world survival game, or is this one that just doesn't hit your mark? Are you worried about the game's controversies? Let me know down in the comments below. If you want to see more about games that we know everything so far, you can find one of those videos here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.